Remember when we're feeling stressed, say for instance, and anything can stress you physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially as well. That's a very common place that you find, a lot of people also in. Just financially stressed when things are not, when they don't have the, when they are not in the financial place they want to be. They just become very stressed. So it could be financial stress, it could be marital for some people, relationship, and mental health. With mental health, a lot of research has shown that some of the three things that are really triggers of mental health: relationship, money, and trauma. Those three things are really really big with spiking your mental health very quickly: relationship, trauma, and
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the Goal Getters Guide. Today we're featuring a mental health and personal peace coach, Sakirat Okewole. The goal of this series is to help us get guidance regarding several topics that are very beneficial and helpful for our growth and progress. You know how we do it here. This is the Progress Mentors drive to help you do better and more of what you love to do. Today, I would quickly introduce our guests who we're very honored to have. Shakirat Okewole is a mental health and self awareness coach. She is a guest speaker at conferences, so send your invitations in. She's an author and the founder of A Better Me Coaching Services, a proud graduate of FUNAB. And how are you today, Shakirat?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Not too bad, not too bad. We're pushing it. It's autumn, the weather's changing, but hopefully we can enjoy the end of the year
Yeah.
uh, that comes with it. So, for my end, I like to describe myself as a progress mentor, helping to speak, train, and coach. I am a multi fellowship award winner, and I like to share the light on how to make your small next step work. Let's now get into the deep dive. Today is a focus on mental health. Why does it matter? Why should you pay attention to it? How does it affect your work? All of these questions we're going to try to unravel in the next couple of minutes. So, the best person to introduce you, Shakirat, beyond the books and the citation, is yourself. So, is it okay to refer to you as Coach Shakirat? And what's more about your person?
I'm not really big on names, but yeah, you can call me Coach Shakirat if you like. You can call me Shakirat, just that simple. I'm fine with that, honestly. Yeah, my name is Shakirat Okewole. I'm a personal growth coach, a mental health speaker. I'm presently a level 4 training counselor as well in mental health. And that has been one of the greatest or biggest highlights of my journey. Like you said, I am an alumnus of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, as well as University of Ibadan, where I got my second degree in public health. And yeah, it's just interesting to see where I am right now because I didn't start when I started my career and when I started building my journey. I started out as an entrepreneur in the event design spaces, but today I've transitioned into health. I'd always liked health. That's why my first and second degree is in health. I have a microbiology degree for my first and a public health degree for my second. So I've always liked health, but I just didn't take that up much enough until something um, very important and very, yeah, pivotal happened on my journey of life, and I had to switch to the big calling of, you know, starting my journey in the health sector. So that's who I am. I support people, especially entrepreneurs who are startups or who are feeling stressed and underachieved as well. I support them on their journey of mental health and personal growth. so that they can build the life that they really deserve and desire. That's me for short. You've said a bit about how I use my work to serve people. I do that through speaking, coaching, and through creating safe spaces in communities, as well as my individual coaching room to support the journey of people in totality. So, yeah, that's what I do. And I am super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. Super grateful to have you. It's rare to have an opportunity, to speak with somebody who is a professional, especially in spaces like this, because it's a grace, to be fair. The health sector is really big. Um, for you, you already mentioned that you have transitioned into health. Um, how and why have you chosen mental health particularly, considering you could have gone into any other direction? Within even
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
workplace.
yeah. It was. I think the journey wasn't really linear, and it was a very frustrating journey. I like to call it, but it's a journey that has now repositioned me for who I am meant to be. Because I would say that the journey I was walking before now was not totally who I am meant to be. But however, the way we say in the counseling world is that who you're not meant to be is a part of who you are meant to be. So it is still an holistic journey so far. Like I said, I started out as an entrepreneur in the wedding industry, in the event industry, and I did that for a decade. It was towards the end of um, marking my 10 years in the industry that started having lots of awakening calls and all that. But what really made me transition from event designs or event industry as a whole into health was um, a disorder. I wouldn't call it a disorder, but yeah, in the space of mental health, we call it general anxiety disorder. That one nearly claimed my life
Hmm.
because it was just an accumulation of stress that had eaten deep into my innermost self. I became depressed and feeling suicidal. And that also, the feeling of being suicidal only came after I started having insomnia from being depressed and having general anxiety disorder. By the way, if you don't know, general anxiety disorder is just fear disorder. I mean, there's no way I'm going to share my story, and this will not be the central of it because it's a lived experience. It's an experience that I have to go through to get to where I am today. So when I was on that journey and it looked like my recovery was slow or wasn't certain, I started to lose hope in living and I started to feel suicidal. But at some point, God was kind to me and I was given a second chance to life. I recovered from anxiety. And after my recovery, I started to question myself about whether I am doing what I am meant to do, supposedly that I have passed on from that illness. And the answer was a no. I have not been doing the things that I really wanted to do in life. So it was an awakening call to rechannel myself to the journey that I am meant for. Ideally, every one of us have our superpowers, we have our strengths, we have, maybe a list of things that we want to achieve in life. But have we started doing those things? And what is blocking us? What is stopping us from doing those things? So for my case, it was that, the disorder, the general anxiety disorder, and the recovery from that helps me started, having a different thought process around who I am, what I want to do with life, what would make my life have a meaning to me myself, not just to people. Because the way many of us live, or maybe the way that I would say this is very peculiar to Africans as well, because the way we are raised is that we listen more to our parents and we take many decisions that are just there to people please, whether to please our parents or the society or our friends. How much of our decisions are our own decisions, are our own, innermost wish and intrinsic value. So that was how I switched into health. It was about wanting people not to be where I have gone because, going through that journey of anxiety disorder took a lot of things from me. However, it also gave me a lot of things. One of the things it took from me was it took my businesses, it took some of my friendships, it took some of my, acquaintances. it took some of my confidence away, I was going to say, because when I recovered, I started to see that I started to see life in a different way than how I used to see it before. It made more sense to think that, in a twinkle of an eye, things can change. You could be okay today, and the next moment you just feel like your life is about to crumble right before you. So it is just a reminder as well. And like I said, I call it a second chance because not everyone have that ability or have that opportunity to get a second chance to life. So for me, I'd say it's a second chance because I almost took my own life when I became very suicidal. I remember that one of the days when I visited my doctor, my psychiatrist, and it was he's told me a lot of things about what's going on in my mind and my head and how I will heal. Leaving the hospital on that day, I was driving on the express and I was fidgeting. And I remember that I almost lost control on that day. That was one of the days that was really scary for me as well. And that was all based on the fear disorder that I was having. I started having panic attack while driving. So that's what got me into health, I would say. And I chose mental health because I recovered from one of the mental health conditions. And I feel that it's not a great place to be for anyone. And this can be prevented if we know more about it. This can be worked on if you're already experiencing it. So that's why I just thought I would support a lot of people out there. Again, because I love entrepreneurship. And the research has shown that 75% or even maybe more of entrepreneurs suffer one mental health disorder or the other, but they do not know. They don't know that they have it until they crash or until they burn out before they now begin to see what's been going on with them in terms of mental health. So I also wanted to reach out to a lot of entrepreneurs because that is who I am. That's who I have always loved to be. I love entrepreneurship so much. And I just want to support the journey of entrepreneurs out there on their, on the journey of mental health and fulfilled living. And that is
Mm.
what got me into health.
This is interesting because it looks like you found the sweet spot between a true life experience and a community that needs to hear the story. You know,
Mm,
so entrepreneurship is personal because it looks like you have some entrepreneurship experience as well, and then
yeah,
you have this experience and you have been able to find the middle ground to then use this as a tool of service.
mm,
Which is really good. We're going to come to GAD for the um, for me not wanting to call it GAD, the general anxiety disorder that you have mentioned, because if you be say plenty people have this, but they are not even
mm,
aware about
mm,
it or what is it
yeah,
called. But let's come back a little bit to the stigma. There's a bit of stigma still around mental health, discussing it, talking about it, even telling people to check up on themselves. It looks like
mm,
no go area. So,
mm,
for the doubting Thomases, who,
mm.
and I'll raise my hand up to say I used to be like that, in the past.
Yeah.
I used to be like, oh, I'm driven. There's nothing wrong with me, but I
Mm,
was one event away from actually, taking it all in.
mm,
There are possibly already those signs there of things you need to check. You're possibly
yeah.
not checking on yourself enough. You're possibly not even aware of a number of things that make you, you
Yeah.
know, until everything just crashes in and you're in a place you have never really been before mentally. So the question
Mm,
is, for the people who still do the stigma thing, or who still doubt that mental health is real health, or
yeah.
health matters at all, why should they listen to us today? Why should they listen to this conversation?
Okay. I love that question, and the way that I would answer it is really simple, and that goes from popular quotes. I can't remember now. Bob, is it Bob? I can't remember the man's name now. Sorry, but there's a saying that our mental health is our everything, and we must take care of it like it matters like that. And indeed, it does matter because if the saying says that our mental health is our everything, we would need to protect it from our being to our existence to everything that we do is our mental health. Because in a simple definition, the mental health is the way that we reason, the way that we think and understand and interpret situation. Is about the way that we socialize with ourselves and with others, and it's also about our emotions. So every human being has an emotion. So you should know about it. You should know when it becomes toxic and when it becomes natural. What are you doing with this emotion? Where is it coming from? By the virtue of that, everyone should know about their mental health, because we really cannot thrive if we don't know what we need to do. The way many people live is by default of, oh, I wake up every day, I go to work, I make money, and I would relax and I would play and I would. But what are the underlying pillars that shows you how these things should be done, literally, is what we talk about in mental health. I tell you
Mm.
what, when I recovered from anxiety, and I would like the anxiety disorder because everyone has anxiety for one reason or the other. But when it becomes a disorder, is when your brain cannot understand that there is no fear for you to be panicking over. Because,
Mm.
of course, when there is true fear, we also need that level of anxiety for us to take the right actions when there is true fear, or when there's true, when there's something to really alert us.
Mm.
So our mental health is our everything. It's the way we breathe in. It's the way we cope with stress. It's the way we bounce back from adversity. And as humans, we would face adversity. We'll face
Mm.
challenges. There will be problems. How do we bounce back? How do we go through it and build resilience? Something can overwhelm me, and MD, it might just be it might just be nothing for you because of your level of resilience around this thing. So that is your level of mental health. How are you
Mm.
coping with life issues? How are you contributing to the community at large? Your level of mental health is also has something to do with that.
Mm.
There are four core conditions that we look at in counseling that helps you grade how solid or how positive your mental health is. And the first of it is your psychological resilience. Like, how do you respond to things? There's a saying that it's not about what happens, it's about how you respond to it. The other day, I took two young people to skate, and one of them fell on the skating board and was feeling very bad to go back and try. The other one fell on the skating board, laughed herself away, and went back to try. The same scenario, but different responses to it. The
Yep.
one who thought I wouldn't go back to try just thought, oh, this feels too hard, or people were watching, I fell, and all of that. Different meanings with that one incident. The one who just
Mm.
laughed it off when we had the conversation said, I'm gonna go, it doesn't matter how many times I fall. I just love that. I fell and I got back up. The responses are always different. So it's the same with life situations. Whether you
Mm.
lost a job, or you lost somebody, or something didn't go well, or just some set of adversities in general. How do we respond? And that is our psychological resilience. And the
Mm.
second one we look at is um our emotional intelligence. There's a lot of emotional intelligence programs that goes on now. It wasn't very popular before now, but thank God to internet, thank God to a lot of things we learn on social media, thank God to, the world is modernized now, and we can access information that are very important to us. So emotional intelligence is becoming more popular, and it's really important. What I like to talk about with emotional intelligence is knowing your dominant state of emotion can transform everything for you.
Mm.
And this was a journey I had to also discover for myself, because I always like to talk about self awareness. You cannot change what you're not aware about. So, are you aware of your most dominant emotion? I think it's just you respecting yourself, to know more about yourself and treating yourself the best possible way that you can. It's self
Mm.
respect, it's self
Mm.
honoring, it's self accepting. So it'll be good to know our most dominant emotion, so we would know how to deal with that, how to manage that as well. Some people, anger is their most dominant emotion, and that's what is still standing in their way of where they want to be, or what they want to achieve, and what they want to build, and all that. Some people, their most dominant emotion is love, and that can be positive or negative for them, the way they use that love.
Yep.
So It's about also knowing our emotional, becoming emotional intelligent and knowing our emotion. That is also a part of our mental health. Another one that we want to look at in terms of mental health is coping skills. How do we cope with general life stress? It's a fast-paced world right now. We can't deny that. Everything seems to be happening very fast. Everything is evolving. Everything is changing, especially with the emergence of AI, artificial intelligence. I'm going to tell you, Emdee, I'm not really tech savvy. I'm still trying to learn this, and then another thing will come out, and then this will come out, and then you're trying to play catch up. It is stressing for some people. And for me, I am neurodiverse, and bless us, we neurodiverse mind out there. We feel overwhelmed easily. We're still trying to catch up on one thing, and you're throwing, it's like you're throwing, many bottles of water at us at the same time, and we're trying to catch everything at the same time. It just stresses us out. So it's about also slowing down and managing stress. How can you manage stress? The way we manage stress is different, and our mental health, how positive our mental health is, can help us with managing stress. The other time we were speaking about, you asking me about how my day has been, and I said, "Oh, I'm feeling a reset now because I have to accept myself for who I am. That I get overwhelmed easily. So I have to sit down on myself and look at what are those things that have been overwhelming me the past couple of months or even maybe this season, and to deal with them intentionally. And some of them had been that I had a lot of things going on in so many areas of my life. So I can pause and I can come back to them. So it's about honoring my truth, my own way, the way that I value, not the way my clients will see it or the way my friends, my community, my social circle will see it. It's about how will I see it. And so I had to make some very tough decisions. It was tough for me, but I looked back at why it was tough. Promise you, it wasn't tough. It was the way I was thinking about it. It was the way I was thinking about how people will respond to that thing. But if I really reconnect back to my truest self, and I'm, being honest with myself, I would know that this is a decision I just needed to make. So it's about thinking about how we can deal with stress and cope with stress and cope with the fast-paced world as well. Another thing is how can we self-actualize, like reach our maximum potential? Every human being, we should also be thinking about that. How can we reach our maximum potential? And that can happen. You can reach your maximum potential when you have a positive and optimum mental health. And these are four reasons I have stated that, will prove that our mental health is our everything. If you're not healthy, you can't make the right decision. If you're not mentally healthy, you can't socialize even. How many times have you gonna notice people are not talking to you? Not because they do not know what they want to say, but because they're not confident to say it. That's the mental health issue. Why are you not confident yet to share your opinion? There must be a reason. It could be trauma. It could be low self-esteem. So many possible things that is not making you socialize as well. These are things you should be looking at. Our mental health is our everything, I would say, to answer that question. And we should be taking it very seriously.
Well done. Thank you for sharing that. I think I caught three or four. So, so I caught psychological resilience. Is that part of it?
Yeah.
Then I remember you mentioned emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You then mentioned coping skills.
Yeah.
What's the fourth one?
Self-actualization, like reaching your maximum potential and just doing. They say what a man can be, he must be. Whatever you think you can be, you must become. If you think you can be better at what you're doing, then you have to become better. So it's about actualizing those big goals, actualize becoming that, most self-expressed version of yourself and just enjoy your life the way that you would want to enjoy it.
Oh, this is really good. And I think this is something that affects every one of us. So there's no exceptions here to say this one not be me that they talk about. As long as
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you have a nervous system, you are made up of emotions and nerves and neurons and hormones and all of that. So all of these things, they look like they're working in the background, but they kind of determine the quality of life that we live.
Thank you.
So knowing them, knowing what they do, knowing that you can be in control to a degree, and some you may not be in control. So knowing what you can control and what you can't possibly puts us in a very good place in terms of mental health, isn't it?
I agree.
Yeah. So let's look at GAD a little bit. And
Okay.
for people who are driven, I think there's a research that categorizes people into four colors.
Yeah.
Um, the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue. I don't know if you've come about that research. There is an author, I've forgotten his name now, who wrote, I'm going to get it in a second, who wrote a book called Surrounded by Idiots.
Mm.
Um, so I think I'm trying to get the name of the author now. Thomas, is it? Yes, Thomas Erickson is the name of the author. So he really went deep into this concept of people having a personality type. So there are people that are red, there are people who are driven red. They want to get things fast, whether correct or not. Just give it to me. Like the CEOs, like our go-getters, a lot of us will be red. We would have
Mm.
a sprinkle of other colors. And then you have the yellows who feel things first before they even do it.
Mm.
They have to feel it.
Mhm.
If the vibe is not vibing, they may not be able to move at all. um, and then you have the greens who prioritize balance. They want everybody to be happy.
Mm.
They don't like chaos at all. So one small
Mm.
chaos can ruin the day. It can ruin the whole week, and it could be
Mm.
as simple as a feedback that's not right. You know,
Mm.
so they can internalize it because they are green like that,
Yeah.
right? And no offense to your green shirt because that's really lovely.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you are green.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
well, according to the book, according to the author of and the book, and I would recommend it.
Okay.
Um, so green people is like what artificial intelligence does, where you ask it a question, it gives you an answer, you then fire back saying no, that answer is not correct, and then it says yes, you're
Mm.
right. So it's kind of constantly agreeing with you. So AI just
Mm.
please you, right? So the pleasers, there are lots of them greens. And then you have the blues, who are the analytics. They want every single number to match.
Mm.
Um, I remember when I first learned to count money, you know, I've always thought if you give me like random notes, I mean, back at home, you give me random notes and they tell me how much is all of this. I just do, okay, this is 500, this is 100, this is 10. But then I met my neighbor, an elderly woman who was a school principal, who showed me that you need to put the 1000s first and then the 500s next, and then this.
Mm.
Now, it made sense, but if you are too analytic with the way you do, I just use that as an example. And so it's
Yeah.
been helpful to count, and then you have to put all of the faces up. Do you get? Now
Mm.
we've already arranged 500, then 200, then 100. So
So
for
much
her,
details.
yes, there's so much details.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can just count this money and we get out of this
I
place.
get it
We have so
done
much
with.
money to
Yeah.
count that evening. We
Yeah.
have so much to count. Um, so for blues, as an example, the goal is not to
Mm-hmm.
get you a accurate number. So if you give a blue a bucket of cash to say count
Yeah.
this and tell me, the blue is not satisfied that you got the final answer right. The blue wants to
Mm.
see that the notes are arranged, £50 first, then followed by £20, and all of them have faces facing up,
So
right?
it's more or less like it's not just about the result. The process also
No,
matters for the blue.
yes, the
Yeah.
blue wants those kind of bits, and if it's not there,
Mm.
it won't approve it. Um,
Mm.
so you have just given us an understanding of all of these four categories of how our life really, plays. Because we can't
Mm.
pause it, unfortunately. That's another thing when you're having a crisis. When
Mm.
you're having a crisis, that's the time when you want the world to stop, and it's not. You know. So then you may resort to say, you know what, if it's not going to stop, I'm going to stop mine. That's where
Mm.
suicide becomes a question. To say everybody's just carrying on, like it's all right. No, it's not all right. I want us to stop. And it's one, no,
Mm.
nobody's stopping. It has to carry on.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending movie. And for you, you may not see your role in it, which is a very
Mm.
terrible place to be. And I've been there before. which is why this kind of conversation is very important. When you are in that place where you feel like the world is moving on, I don't see my role, I don't see why I'm needed any longer, I don't think I want to be here,
Yeah.
that is a terrible, terrible place to be. So let's talk about GAD.
Very. Mm-hmm.
What are the general symptoms? Even though this is not a medical
So
advisory, just
we
to put
need to
that
talk
out.
about it because to make these changes, it's okay for us to understand what these things are and how it impacts us. And the quicker we begin to recognize how or where we are or how it's impacting us, the quicker we can respond appropriately and accordingly to them. So general anxiety disorder is a buildup of stress, and we are one way or the other we go through stress every day. And so when it becomes an outburst, like your body can no longer manage it, is when it becomes a fear disorder. Remember when we're feeling stressed, say for instance, and anything can stress you physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially as well. That's a very common place that you find, a lot of people also in. Just financially stressed when things are not, when they don't have when they are not in the financial place they want to be. They just become very stressed. So it could be financial stress, it could be marital for some people, relationship and mental health. With mental health, a lot of research has shown that some of the three things that are really triggers of mental health, relationship, money, and trauma, those three things are really, really big with spiking your mental health very quickly. Relationship, trauma, and money. I'm talking about relationships. Sometimes it's not even just a relationship with your partner, it could be with anybody, your friend, your husband, your children, even with yourself. And that's where you begin to talk about self-esteem issues. When you do not have a positive relationship with yourself, that can also be very powerful. So stress can come from anywhere, from any angle. The mere
Mm,
fact that you're thinking and thinking and thinking and you're worried about something, the hormones that are produced in our body is the adrenaline hormone when we begin to feel that stress. And the more we think and think about these things or the situation you're going through, it just becomes so worrisome that there's going to be a buildup of this hormone in your body, which is adrenaline. And when it gets to a point where your body can no longer handle it, that's when it outbursts. It bursts out into general anxiety disorder, where you begin to fear everything. You begin to get scared of everything. In my own case, I was scared of sleeping because I would think I would die in my sleep. I was scared of, everything. Talk about anything. I also had a bit of agoraphobia when I go outside and I meet and I see people. I become scared that maybe they will hurt me, or I had a level of um fear in confined spaces, elevator, in the airplane. Different phobias started creeping up. I mean, I do know that I have some phobia before, but it gets worse in those instances. And the moment you begin to notice these things and don't deal with it and it keeps building up, that's when you then have the outburst, general anxiety disorder, which is usually associated with panic attack, high blood pressure, trembling, sweating, headache, indigestion. General anxiety disorder is a beast. It can present with anything and every
yep.
symptom. And the
Mm,
worst part of it is you'll be treating the symptoms individually, different medications for high blood pressure, for headache, for indigestion, and it's just never ending because again the pressure of now multi-dosing on this medication as well can hinder your immune system. It flattens it out, you're very low, you feel tired, and that tiredness again cycles, it just keeps spiraling like that. Cycles again, makes you feel tired, and the moment you feel tired, you start overthinking, oh, I'm tired, I'm scared, I may die, I don't want to die. And
mm,
there are conflicting things as well in your mind. I want to die, I don't want to die. I should eat, I shouldn't eat. There is always a battle in your mind. There's always a question. It never keeps quiet. Your mind is just in constant chat, constant talking, constant dialogue. And that can be distressing. You want to stop the mind from thinking. It never stops. Normally, every functioning human mind should be producing thought at a
mm.
particular rate, 6 to 8 per minute, I suppose. But with general anxiety, you're just having a roller coaster of thoughts, a roller coaster of emotion that you sometimes cannot explain. It's difficult like that. It's
Mm.
stressful like that. It's heavy and embodying like that. And it just gets to a point where you feel like, oh no, I'm gonna cry. My body cannot have this again. And that is when some people begin to get depressed. Like, I'm tired. I feel hopeless. I feel helpless. Because I mean, that's what depression is. When you begin to feel like there is no way out. I'm tired. I'm helpless. No one's going to help me. Nothing is working. My medication is not working. Everywhere feels threatening. No one looks happy. In fact, you could think that someone wants to attack you. The person who you love the most might want to attack you. But when general anxiety builds up, it leads to depression for some people. For some people, it goes straight to leading to self-harm. Angry. It leads to, for some people, if it's left untreated, psychosis. I remember when I was on that treatment, then my psychiatrist told me, if you do not take your medication, so he said it in Yoruba, if you do not take your medication, why jawere? Like you will run mad. And when I ate that, it made my anxiety rose up because there's a feeling of I don't want to take my medication. And why don't I want to? It's a part of my mind telling me that that medication was going to kill me. Imagine something that is meant to help you get better, but I was hearing otherwise in my head. I was hearing something else, a very scary one in my mind. So general anxiety is not a good place to be. And what can trigger it is a buildup of stress, a buildup of uncertainty. Your definition to success can be a big trigger as well. What have you defined success to be? The pressure that comes with that definition, the actions that you're putting in, without the checks, the balances, the pause, the self-care that needs to go into that is a lot to look into as well. But that is what symptoms of general anxiety disorder may look like for many people. Yeah.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack here. In fact, it could be an episode on its own. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, people who I support on the journey of general anxiety disorder, I take them on a 12-week journey. So it could be an episode on its own to know where it comes from, whether your anxiety is from trauma, whether it's from your brain chemistry. When the other time I was talking about neurodiversity, if you're neurodiverse, you have a high chance of having those things because your body cannot manage too much stress. You feel overwhelmed easily. But if you don't know when to slow down or when to pause and you're just taking it all in, then you can break down easily. So yeah,
Breaking point.
it's a lot of things to talk about, and for someone who's suffering from it, it takes a while. You go on a journey of neuroplasticity to rewire the mind, to clean the mind, to give it new information that is helpful and empowering for you.
Great. I think what makes it unique, because like you mentioned earlier, we need a bit of fear response to survive. Else, our species won't be even here today. We have had to, maneuver our way through the jungle, avoid the, venomous animals, the
Yeah,
lions that wanted to devour us, and keep them at bay.
yeah,
You also need to be able to respond when there's a real threat.
yeah,
House burning. There's a real, disturbing sound that
mm,
matches something is not safe. So you need a level of that.
yeah,
However, I think what looks unique about GAD, general anxiety disorder, is having all of that response in the absence of no real threat.
that's
Isn't it?
it.
So I'm a good student, am I not? I'm
Yeah,
learning.
that's it.
I'm learning real fast. I think
Yeah,
it's in the absence of no real threat, but mentally you can see or make up the threat on your own, and everybody around you is unable to see it, and that
yeah,
that, that now separates you to say you're responding to something that's no longer there, possibly was there before, it's no longer there, or it's never been there, but you can imagine it and it's real to you. So as somebody who has been somewhere close to that space,
yeah,
I mean, in experience, not in
mm,
professionally, I think that it could be a really, really big problem
mm.
to get out of. So, how do we prevent this? Which is possibly the easiest way.
I like the sound when you mentioned that it's distressing and it can be there for a while. So when I recovered from general anxiety disorder, apart from getting medical attention from the medics, I was also able to work with a coach who is an anxiety coach, Charles Linden. That's his name. Bless him. He's still very much alive and doing so well. And I'm happy that I came across him. And when he shared his own story of anxiety, he's added for I think 3 decades before it was finally taken away. So when the awareness of how this thing is made up is not clear, you might probably be treating the surface rather than the root cause. And it's like you spraying a weed. It's like you cutting a weed from the surface and you uprooting the weed and spraying all the edifice, everything around it, just so that nothing can grow again. So there's a different approaches to that. If you do not really know where this thing is coming from, dealing with it might not be sustainable. So bless that coach. He took us through knowing where this thing really comes from. And with all of my lessons in science, in counseling, in also, in the works that I have done in mental health, public health as well, with all of my awareness, it's safe to say that the major cause of anxiety disorder is the state of our mind. So if, like I said, neurodivergent, if you are neurodiverse, 95% chance that you're going to have it. But if you are neurotypical, you might not have it. Or if you do, you might come out of it and feel better quicker, and maybe it might not reoccur. If you're neurodivergent, if you're neurodiverse, chances are it will come back to you again and again and again. But each and every time it comes back, it's either better because you now understand it and you can, work with it and manage it, or it's worse because you don't know the root cause. You've only been given some medication to treat the high blood pressure that came with your anxiety, or you've been asked to take a bed rest, or you've been asked to go for a 1 week holiday, which a lot of people do. They'll go on a 1 month holiday. They will come back to that lifestyle. So it's about understanding yourself, your persona, your schema. And when we're talking about schema, we're talking about your body, your mind, your soul, your emotion, and your will. All the things are interwoven. It needs to be broken down in pieces. So talking about the body, you need to know what body type you have. That is knowing your most dominant hormones that you produce, whether as a man or as a woman. Because the most dominant hormone you produce, that your body produces based on your body type, which you and I cannot change, you've been, created like that. If you begin to know the kind of hormone that you most dominantly produce, if for you it's an adrenal hormone, it means that you have high chances of having anxiety over and over and over again. But now it's already existing that, okay, you're neurodiverse, or maybe your body type is also an adrenal body type. It means that you will break down easily. What will you do about it? One of the things that you can do about it is start learning about how these bodies work. How does a body that reacts quickly to stress, how does it work? How can you ensure that before you get to that threshold that you will break? Because we all have our threshold, we all have our limits. Before you get to the point of breaking, what should you do? What should you not do? And I'll give you a bit of that. For someone who is neurodiverse, which is a state of mind, like I said, let's go back to the body now. Because when I was talking about the schema, I started with talking about the body. For the body, I said you could have 4 kinds of hormones that you're producing. Once you know the type of hormones that is most dominant in your body, then you can start knowing the right food, the right exercise, your sleep patterns, and the right jobs that you should be into. If you are in any job that will stress you physically, easily, you might need to manage that. For someone who is also neurodiverse, for instance, a neurodiverse condition is ADHD, which means your attention deficit is really short, your attention span is short, and which may also mean that you can't focus so well on executive function. I would say I suffered so much from all of those things, that having an ADHD mind, but I've been able to overcome them because now I understand them. I understand that with having an ADHD mind, I do need a lot of downtime. Whereas that's not how I operated before the awareness. I thought I could do anything, and I had multiple businesses I was running. So burnout is quicker and easier and very, very easy. So I just look at a lot of people who say, oh, I have 20 businesses, I have 10 businesses, I have 6 businesses. Are you thriving? Are you thriving with having all those multiple businesses? Are you thriving? Because in the case of myself and many other people who I have helped who have ADHD, it's about slow down. What is your number one gift? Build that to support your journey, support yourself. You can build your big life around that. If it's a fear of not having enough money, that is the reason you are in multiple businesses. There is a way just one business can help you, can work out for you. And when you start getting to a point where you're making profits, you can invest the money in several ways. One of the big gifts that I've had is about learning about financial literacy and learning about different ways that you can monetize your skills or that you can build financial success. I told you the other time I said I was resetting. And I was resetting because I'm beginning to find answers to a lot of things I was asking. Questions like, how can I make money? How can I be successful in the long span? And I found various ways that are working to make money compared to what I knew before, that I had to have multiple businesses to make money, to be financially sustainable, to be financially secure or independent.
Yeah.
So it was about defining my level of success. It's about defining your what you want. Some people just want financial security. They don't want a lot. They just want, to be able to afford the basic needs and have a few investments here and there, and they're fine. Some want financial freedom. Anything you want is possible if you know how to achieve it and you are going to go for the how. But if you don't know and you're just trying everything possible, you can burn out easily. So answering your question about how can we prevent it, a lot of it is a self-awareness journey. A journey people always think they already are on, or a thing people already think they have and they do not have. Research
Yes.
says that 85% of people are self-unaware. They don't know themselves just yet enough. Only about 15% of human living are self-aware. And now, out of that 85% who are self-unaware, 95% of them think that they are aware. So if you have 10 people, it's safe to say that maybe only 8 of them, maybe only 2 of them are aware. The remaining 8, they are not self-aware. But out of that 8, 7 of them believe that they are aware. Or maybe
You're right.
almost all of them think they are aware. And because you think you know something, they say that a mistake that you don't acknowledge, you cannot change. So because you think that you already know something, you already are okay that way, you're not making any changes because changes and growth doesn't happen where there is no awareness. So
Yeah.
many people are just living bland like that. So what is self-awareness? It's about knowing your patterns, knowing your habits, knowing your values, embracing personal development to make a change to things that are not serving you. How many people are slowing down these days to go on a journey of personal development? To say, you know what, I want to go and know the state of mind that I have and how to change that and how to work on that. I want to go and know about my brain chemistry. I want to go and know what kind of trauma I had in childhood. I'd like to go for therapy to learn more about my emotions and just heal. When you hear therapy, when many people hear therapy these days, they think that, you talked about the stigma. They put a
Yep.
stigma aside. Oh, maybe you're psychosis. Maybe something is going on. No, we all need therapy. Think about it as something that helps you get to your next big level. It helps you get to your
Yeah.
next big level. So yeah, the how to treat it is about knowing ourselves. It's about self-awareness. That is just the basics. Know yourself more, embrace yourself more, work on the things that needs changing. And don't go through the journey of life with pressure and alone. Go with the right people, find the right support, the people that empowers you, that allows you feel, that affirms your confidence, affirms your power that you're enough and you can build and thrive with whatever thing you want to do or at whatever thing you want to do.
Don't go through the journey of life alone.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
without. So I think there's a lot about awareness, and
Yeah.
maybe diagnosis. But you remember that many people do not give themselves up for diagnosis until something has broken down.
Yeah.
So what you're recommending is to know our body type, to know all of the emotional makeup that makes us up
It's
before
human.
the
Yeah.
crisis. That's how we can prevent it. Else, we'll be firefighting because the fire
Yeah.
has already happened.
Yeah.
Uh, so I see a lot of benefit to this. So one is knowing the sources of the disorder. What are the things that cause it? We've already talked a couple of them. Then having a diagnosis. So the question is, who would help? Is it as simple as ringing up the doctor to book up an appointment? Is it as simple as, you mentioned you got help from a coach? Is it as simple as, speaking to a coach? Is there something people can do on their own? Are there resources out there to be able to tell, maybe surface level, to be able to know, to bridge that gap, to move more of the people into the 85% box. So out of the 85% box, I mean,
Mm.
so that people can be more aware. What can we do for the diagnosis part? Because I know that once people get an idea of who they are, have a bit of that evaluation done,
Mm.
you know, it would then give them a guide to know how to adjust
Yeah.
lifestyle
Yeah.
accordingly. So, what's the first place that somebody should look at in getting that diagnosis, the correct one?
Yeah. So prevention. Let's talk prevention first before someone who's already in crisis, mid crisis. So before things get worse at all, everyone should go on a journey of personal development. Everyone should go on that journey. And when I'm talking about personal development, there are different ways we can develop ourselves, skills, habits, businesses. But when it comes to personal development that looks into personal growth, a true personal growth coach will be able to help you analyze your schema. If you are doing personal growth coaching and you're not helping people look into root causes, you're not helping them dissect every part of their being and helping them know what lifestyle they go through based on assessment. There are assessments that you can do for them. First of all, you can do the WHO assessment, which is called PAMA 5. PAMA 5 helps you know your positive emotion, your reasoning, the way you have given meaning to your life. So there's an assessment out there that a personal growth coach would use for you. So the simple answer is everyone should embrace personal growth coaching. If you've not gone for it, then you go for it as well.
I
Everyone
would
should.
try.
When I went for it was when I saw that, oh my God, why didn't I know this all this while? Why? What? Because it would have prevented me from running multiple businesses, thinking that that's the way to self actualize. It would have helped me define success in a healthier way, not the way that I thought success meant. That is when you only have money that you're successful.
Yep.
And I
Mm,
was chasing money till I burnt out. And how much of the money was I able to get with all of the chase?
mm,
Rather, when you let things happen based on the knowledge and the information at your disposal, you will then begin to let things happen rather than making things happen. So it looked to me like I was living, I just wanted to make things happen for me at all
mm,
costs. When I can
mm,
just let it happen. How? By knowing who I am, what's my gift? How can
mm,
I how can I grow my gift? How can I grow my passion? How can I make
mm,
that work for me and make that work for others? How can I be a problem solver? Already by virtue of being a being neurodiverse, you're already a problem solver
yep.
because we're always result oriented. We're always thinking of how can we fix this? How can we solve this?
Mm,
But again, it's about really knowing about yourself. There are a lot of self-awareness coaches out there. So to answer your question, self-awareness is the first thing you need to do. How can you become more self-awareness? Go through a self-awareness coaching. Go through
mm,
personal growth coaching. Number two, let me tell you something. Medically, you could enter into a medical space, maybe an hospital, and say that I want to just do a general body checkup. They might not pick all of these things. In the hospital, they
mm,
can't pick your patterns and your behaviors, can they? No, they don't live with you. And they're probably not going to ask you some reflective questions that would help them pick your blind spots. But a coach
mm,
will sit with you and help you analyze these things. A medical person would only say, okay, let's do some blood tests or let's do some brain chemistry tests and see what are you producing. They can guess some things, but they will still put you on a behavioral journey to see whether their guesses, their hypotheses can affirm what your thinking processes could be from what they've guessed or from what they're guessing. So it's about first thing, get a self-awareness coach. Go for that self-awareness coaching. Be enthusiastic, be willing to wanting to make a change, to wanting to live holistic. I think another thing is the will. They say where there's a will, there's a way. The will that I really want to know more about myself can change everything. So the will, the awareness, the embracing personal growth coaching. This is the first point of call. Even if you go online and decide to want to help yourself, because like I said, there are some assessment materials online, like the PERMA 5 by WHO. There's the Core 10 form by WHO, that just helps you check some of the symptoms you're having lately. But really, it might not tell you where it's coming from and what to do about it. Self-awareness coaching. Therapy can help as well. Therapy is as simple as going in there and having a conversation. But the way the therapy helps, it can be slow because there will always be things that you talk about. Personal development is fast like that. It's like breaking you down and looking at all the pieces. You know when you have a puzzle and you're trying to put everything together, each of the parts
Yep.
of puzzle makes sense, make a meaning. If one is missing, it's not complete. That's the
Yep.
way we are as human beings. So the personal development coach can help you see all of the piece of puzzles, what they mean for you, your body, your mind, your soul, your spirituality. What's missing can be spotted, and you can then begin to take the right actions towards your sustainable growth.
Wow.
That's why I
There's a
love what I do. And that's why I chose this is what I want to do, because this is what makes a lot of sense to whatever you want to do. Like, I really want to support and just, it just solves all the problems that you could be going through for decades and decades. It just solves it easily. They say that one of the success that a man can have is to become aware of their dysfunctionalism. Quickly become aware of your weakness. Because then don't try to strengthen it. Just focus on your strength. Recognize it and just build from that perspective. Otherwise, you
wow.
just be stressing and stressing. I'm a Muslim, and one of the very powerful verses that I like is in the first surah of the Quran that says that Allah should guide us to the right path. When you have guidance, you will not stress. You will know what room you should go to. Just don't go and waste your time in that room because it is not for you anyway. It might look good, but when you have guidance, you quickly know that no, not everything that is good for me. Not
Yeah.
everything that looks good is good for us. And that's where guidance can quickly help you, save you some long life stress. And you can
Not
be
everything
confident.
that's good for me.
Yeah, not everything that looks good is good for us. Honestly.
Mm, mm. Interesting. So there's a lot of, we're already getting to the meat of the conversation. I'm really loving this. So you've already pointed us into some of the frameworks that we can use for those who want to jump on a bit of evaluation immediately.
Mm,
Correct me if I'm wrong. The PAMA is spelled PERMA. Is that the
correct.
okay? The PAMA plus V framework of the World Health
Farmer
Organization.
5. Yeah, yeah. It can be a good
This is
start.
really, yeah, this is really good. And then one of the ways to do your next step on this is to sign up for self-awareness coaching. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the coach you're listening to right now. If you
Mm,
hear it and you think it's from a credible place, sign up for that. It's a
yeah.
beginning. And
Yeah.
you have also mentioned personal growth coaching, which is a little bit of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and some people would you know, um, also benefit from therapy, which you mentioned is a little slower path. But therapy it doesn't mean that something must have broken down before
Mm-hmm.
therapy would be necessary. To wrap this up in terms of this general anxiety disorder we're talking about, are there any books that you can recommend? I'm a book person. I like books like that. Is there any books that
There are
maybe
books. There are
yeah, any
books.
books that you think, oh,
But
I read
but
that
but
and it changed
titles.
it.
Titles are big deals for me. But there are books.
Okay. So
But
maybe
the
if you
one
find
that
some
never leaves
recommendation,
my
you can send it. I can
say
drop them in
again.
the comments. I can
Yeah,
drop titles in the comments.
yeah, we
Let me
can.
find that and send that across.
I remember Thrive.
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 Okay.
Yeah, but I can't remember the author now. I think
Okay.
it's Thriving with Anxiety. Is it Thriving with
Thriving with
Oh
anxiety.
God.
Don't
But
worry, we'll
like I said, yeah,
find it.
we'll drop in the comment section. Let's not worry about what I can't control right now.
Yes.
But
Don't worry.
one that has stuck to me that I
Yeah. Yep.
don't think I will ever, ever, ever forget the title is A New Earth. by Eckhart Tolle. Whilst
Okay.
that is not on general anxiety disorders, it is on
Yep.
a book that talks a lot about the ego.
Mm.
And once an ego mind dissolves, you always have a mindset of openness, wanting to
Mm.
know, wanting to become the best version of yourself. And that
Mm.
can also be a good pathway to climbing the ladder of success or to just thriving in your living. So I
Mm.
like that book a lot. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Trust me, I really like. I read it different because I go back to it. I go and find some. I just enjoy it like I'm reading verses of the holy book. I
Yeah.
love it like that because I just would jump on a chapter and just say, let me just read one chapter today. Let me just read another verse. I've read it before, like completely over and over again. I just keep reading it. I just enjoy it like that because it just
Can you
reminds me. And each
tell us the
time,
title again slowly? A
a
new
new earth,
oh,
like
a new heart.
a new earth, like a new world. EARTH, a new earth by
Okay, a new
a
heart.
new earth by Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, Eckhart Tolle. Okay, Tolle. Okay.
Eckhart Tolle. Yes.
Awakening to your life's purpose. Is that the full title?
Awakening to your life purpose. Yeah. It's a
Okay.
beautiful book that can
Mm.
help you renew the mind. Because if you
Okay.
really have the mind that is full of ego, you will most likely be an overthinker. You will talk to yourself negatively. You will criticize easily. You will be judgmental. And
Mm.
that is not good for your own growth and for the growth of others around you. You won't forgive easily. You hold on to past grudges, on
Mm.
unhelpful memories from childhood or from the past
Mm.
that can be a big block to your life success. It's a really beautiful book. And the second one, of course, is Thriving. I don't know, I can't remember now if it's Thriving with Anxiety or Thriving with General Anxiety Disorder, but I will send you the titles. Maybe you can put it in, you can
Yeah.
send it to the audience in a way.
Perfect. I saw a Thriving with Anxiety by David Rosmarine.
Mm-mm, that's not the
Possibly
one.
that's not the one. So
That's not the
when you
one.
find it,
But yeah, when I find it, I'll send it to you. But I would
okay, that's
believe that. Let me just say when I find it, I'll send it to you. I was going to say that I believe that any book written on anxiety might be good, but things are always it might look good, but maybe not the best. But I will send the one that I have tried and I liked, and I think I can recommend. I'll send that to you.
exactly. So it's about what you can recommend. To be
Yeah,
fair, not just anything that's out there.
yeah,
Um, because if you haven't gone through the material and you can
mm,
say, you know what, there's something about this one based on my experience as a
mm,
professional in this field,
yeah,
and also somebody who has survived this, a similar scenario.
yeah,
This really did it for me.
mm-hmm,
Uh, so the Hausa people would say Gani ya Fiji,
mm,
that is to see is better than to hear.
mm,
If you've
mm,
seen it, you've
mm,
been there, done that.
mm,
Just to add to your recommendation, so we are Thriving with Anxiety. We'll confirm the title
yeah, yeah.
um, and the author later. We have A New Earth, Awakening. Where is it? It says, one second. I've missed the full title now. One
A
moment.
New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, Awakening to Your Life's New Purpose.
Yes, Awakening to Your Life's New Purpose. It
Yeah.
already sounding like something I'm going to have to read.
Ah, you will
Um,
love it. You will love it.
to your life's new purpose. I definitely will
Yeah,
look forward to this.
yeah, you
One
will love
that
it. And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I said you will love it. And I was going to also recommend my book as well. It's a
Yep.
workbook that
Okay.
takes you into knowing almost everything I've spoken about now.
Yep.
It takes you into starting your own therapy, self therapy yourself,
Mm. Mm.
because it takes you into childhood and looks into
Yep.
all those unhelpful and unresolved issues that you've had as a child, which is still impacting you today. It
Yep.
helps you bring that up. And in bringing that up, you're healing from it. Like I said,
Mm.
when you begin to become aware of something, you start healing from it, especially when you accept what your truth is and the will to wanting to work with it. So I recommend my book. It's called Awaken My Millionaire Mindset Workbook. It's on
Yep.
Amazon. And I like it because, first of all, if you're not a bulky reader, you can quickly Use this book within 1 or 2 days, and you will see a lot of awakening in there. It's a 40 pages workbook. Apart from the fact that it's written like a book, it's also written like a workbook that allows you answer questions.
Mm.
It takes you into introspection. You pause and think and reconnect to some things that might be a blind spot. It guides your reflection.
Mm. This is
It
really good.
guides, yeah,
And I
it
think
guides your
those
reflection.
questions that we either never ask
Yeah,
or we're too afraid to ask.
thank you.
Uh,
I like
it's
the
it
sound of being
never
afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, or we're too afraid to ask. One, if you permit me to do one other recommendation. So we have three recommendations on the table before we move to the next question. Is first and foremost the workbook by Sakirat Okewole on Amazon. Happy to drop the link in the description to the video. Awaken My Millionaire Mindset Workbook. We also have a
Yeah.
new path, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose by Ekatoli. We have Thriving with Anxiety. Hopefully, we can confirm that. One that I would like to add to the equation, and I'm adding it only because I have experienced this one.
Okay.
And these are books that, uh, if a book forces me to come and read it a second, third, fourth time, that's
Mm,
it. That's the kind of book. It's called, interestingly, it's not written by anybody in the medical space. It's written
mm,
by an engineer who used to be a leader and a CEO for Google, you know, who had so much success in his life but was not happy, you know.
mm,
Looking like he has solved complex mathematical problems, he's created products for Google, but
mm,
he's not able to solve simple happiness problem. And so he took
mm.
happiness as a challenge, took it into the laboratory and dissected it.
Lovely.
And
Lovely.
to be honest, it is beautiful to read. So it's called Solve for Happy. Uh, however you want to
Wow.
get it, wherever you want to get it. I've read it twice now. The
Wow.
first, it was truly beneficial to understand some of the
Mm,
concepts that I was talking about. Solve for Happy by Mo Goddard. Mo is Mohammed, but he's shortening it for to Mo
yeah.
because that's what friends call him. He was former chief business officer for Google X. Chief business officer for Google X. So he's written the book Solve for Happy. So it's like
So for
solve for
happy.
X. It's like you're solving for X. They say 2x plus 3x is equals to whatever. Solve for
Yeah.
X. But rather than solving for X, is solving for happy. And it has a lot of discoveries and stories to tell for that. So let's move to the next phase as we push it up um, another gear. We've covered a lot about people identifying,
Yeah.
where they are on the spectrum, what to do. I have benefited from this, and I believe whoever is watching has benefited a lot as well with actionable
Yeah.
steps, what to do, books to read, the frameworks to follow. So we're not just talking; we are giving you exactly how to go about the
Yeah.
next step. Let me ask a little bit about clarity for self confidence, self image, self esteem, right? Um, Give us a bit of context to these terminologies. How do I know that I'm self confident?
Mm, mm. Good
Self confidence.
question.
Let's start from self confidence.
Good question. I think the ability to be your own most authentic self without without any fear of judgment is your self confidence, and without injuring or making the other person look small, because that can be cockiness, where you think, oh, you want to rob your confidence on others. The ability to be your most authentic self without needing validation from any other person or without trying to rub off your strength on others. Self esteem is about your value system, how you value yourself. And if you do not already break down what your values are and living by those values, hardly would you even have a concrete self esteem. Again, if you do not understand that self esteem is just not about, having a positive self esteem is just not about having positive things happening in your life. It's about also accepting the flaws, the weaknesses that you have, owning them, that nothing is to be hidden about you. Nothing is to be hidden about you until we get to that level. And I'm sure there's still things that we hide, which is also calling us to action that we need to work on that. Nothing is to be hidden. If you're hiding it, then maybe it's time to work on it. So that's a
Mm.
self-esteem. It's about the breaking down, looking into your value system. That is what self-esteem is. Self-image, however, is how you see yourself. How do you see yourself? How you see yourself is a reflection of how others will see you, they say. If you see yourself like, oh, you don't matter, my opinions don't count, that is how other people, it's going to reflect on the way that you're going to behave, talk, interact, and people will perceive you just like that. So that's what self image is. That's what self confidence is. And that is what self esteem is. And one
Mm.
of the things that you can start doing to improve your self confidence, first of all, you must be able to define what confidence is and what cockiness is. When you're trying to show off your new wins or show off that you're better than this person, or you're trying to compete and compare, that is not confidence. That already is you're not even only threatening others, you're making yourself uncomfortable because you have to make it up. It doesn't then look natural and it's not fluid. Just be you, relax, and just share what you want to share. It's okay to get things wrong at times. It's okay to have flaws and weaknesses. No human being, no human being is perfect. We all have one sort of scar that we carry around, one sort of weaknesses. We all have it. So you're not different from the others. We're all the same, and that's what makes us human. So identifying, recognizing, and just meeting, coming into terms, merging with the things that don't look like strength to you, your power as well. That can build your confidence. Where you don't have to play a role to fit in. You're just being yourself. You don't have to play any role. You don't have to play, oh, I'm rich when you're not. I'm flexible when you're not. I'm patient when you're not. Just be yourself, be who you are, the same way everywhere. Because in some rooms you might want to feel like I'm this, in another room you might want to feel like I'm that. That is role playing and it's tiring. You're not honoring your own persona as well. So just be you the way you are. And the things that can help you build confidence are out there. If you work more on your strengths and you become more, more good with your strengths, it can build your confidence. If you find what makes life meaningful to you and you work with that, that can make you more confident as well. I like the sound of when I was reviewing this book. What's the title again? Life, man's search of meaning. Man's search of life meaning. I just reviewed the book recently. Man's search of. Are you looking up that for me, please?
Yes,
Man,
I'll try and bring it up for you.
man's search of for meaning. Is it?
Yeah, I possibly have come across the book
Yeah.
myself.
I was reviewing
Uh,
it with a friend last week.
Man's Search for Meaning.
For
Is it
meaning,
by
yeah.
uh, Victor Franklin?
That's the one. Victor Franklin's book, Man's Search for Meaning. So that book
Okay.
says when you can find what life means to you, you stop
Hmm.
role playing. And how can when you're
Hmm.
searching for meaning, what are the things you need to do? Connect with your biggest gift. Connect with the
The
people
biggest
who
what?
love your biggest gift. Your biggest gift can be patience, can be
Hmm.
kindness, can be empathy, can be giving, forgiving, can be gratitude. Some people just know how to stay in gratitude regardless of what they are going through.
Hmm.
So find your biggest gift. And our biggest gift is different from every individual. Find your biggest gift and nurture it so well. It says, love, find people who you love and love you genuinely. Finding people who you love and loves you genuinely can help you add meaning to your life. And also, how do you help the world? Now, helping the world doesn't mean you are speaking or you are in contact with the entire world. The research shows that every human will definitely interact with about 80,000 people before they are passing. And that might not be directly. I'm interacting with you today, I'm learning from you. What I take away from you might impact the next 5 people I will interact with today, one way or the other. So it's a trickle effect. So find how you can impact the world with what you have. Those are ways that you can have meaning to your life. And in doing these things, your confidence will build.
Mm.
And now I run just one business on a focus. I have other
Mm.
business that is attached to this one business that I am still doing. But the kind of confidence I have in life and in myself now is 10x what I used to have when I had multiple businesses, multiple streams of income.
Mm.
So it's about the meaning that we have given to life and the things that we do
Yeah.
that can build our confidence. So if you're listening to me right now, next step to building your confidence, reconnect to how do you help the world? Are you doing it genuinely? Is it benefiting you yourself? Because what you are doing to benefit the world and it's not benefiting you is not good enough. They say charity begins at home. Let it start from you. When I was reading this book, Eating Right to, like I said, I'm not good with titles, but I read that book, Eating Right to Keep Your Body Right or something. One thing I read from there when I read that book was about 4 years ago. I read that book, and that book was saying that, oh, if you want to help the world, start helping yourself first. And I was thinking when I was reading that book that, oh my God, but I want to start coaching people, and I already have these ideas to coach them. But when I read that book, it placed me in a position that I need to show off what I am doing, not because I want to show off, but because I am being that person. And I love a lot of compliments that I hear these days, especially from the beginning of this year when I've accessed a lot of personal therapy for myself. I would hear people say, "Oh, your presence is so grounding." I always hear that a lot, and I'm like, "Really? This is new." But when I started looking at it, I thought it could be true. It could be true because right now I am more authentic than I used to be. I've loved myself
Mm.
and accepted myself more than I used to be. So such compliments would definitely come, and the confidence comes from knowing that you're not keeping any side of you somewhere. You're just
Mm.
being here every time.
Yep.
So
Mm.
it's sweet when you can find that kind of confidence. Be you
Yeah.
every time. But some people want to be themselves, but there are lots of transparency in the way. There are lots of blocks to being yourself. That can
Yep.
also be opened up through therapy, through speaking, talking to someone, finding someone you are free to talk to. That can also happen from there. So that's one
Wondering-
big tip about self confidence.
Yeah, I'm wondering, does environment have anything to play with this? Because, yeah, this is very, very good information, and you have done major justice to self confidence, self esteem, and self image. Say the individual has done everything right, seen a coach, they've been properly diagnosed, and they're doing what is proper.
Hmm.
But could the environment where they are be a contributor to how and why they are not able to be confident?
Hmm. Yeah, environment can be it. But if you are able to switch the focus from the environment externally to the
Mm.
environment internally, you begin to build self confidence. Think about where
Mm.
the focus is. The focus might be on the external and material things that you have taught your value lies. They say when you're
Mm.
searching for happiness, there was a quote I came across some time ago. And again, in our counseling world as well, we look at happiness in two areas. There is hedonic happiness, which is happiness from material things and from the external things. And there is eudaimonic happiness, that happiness from within, purpose happiness, just not for pleasure, just not to please people, just not to please yourself as well, but purpose happiness. A happiness that gives you purpose is beyond having money, is beyond having many friends, is beyond having material things. I made a post one day and that really got people talking to me about some things. I made a post that, gone are the days when I wore expensive or luxury brands over a cheap mindset.
Mm.
And that's true for me.
Mm.
Gone are the days when I thought that, okay, showing up in the best brand is what will make me feel confident.
Mm.
Tell you what, these days I'm not moved to that. I'm not moved by that. I used to be moved by big brands, big names. If I would buy, I would want the one that would have big logos and big. No, that's not me any longer.
Mm.
And that happened because of some of the inner work I've done on myself as well.
Yep.
It's about really turning in the focus inward, the things that will fulfill you and make you feel confident in yourself. Have you
Yeah.
worked on yourself enough? Do you know yourself? How do
Yep.
you serve? How do you
Mm.
contribute to the world at large? Those things can
Yep.
find you purposeful happiness and it can help you build your confidence. Although the
Mm.
environment can be a factor, but I can encourage you to switch from looking at the environment to looking to the internal environment
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. Totally. I totally get the point. So the internal environment is much more powerful, and it's where progress and regression happens. The similitude that I remember very well, and I use this a lot, is about the ship, SHIP, that sails on top of an ocean. If you look at the ocean compared to the size of a ship is big, when you stand next to it, but it is super tiny compared to the size of an ocean.
Mm,
What makes the ship float is that it keeps the water out. Period.
mm,
And that, okay, design wise, it's designed um, to be able to float. But when a little bit of water start to come into the ship, even if it is really small, so the ship's body is airtight, which means water cannot get through it. So the minute the ship lets the ocean get into it, it
mm,
is destined to sink.
mm.
There's no rescue for it. There's no rescue. There's no science that can save it, because then it would become heavier and heavier. And I mean, look at what happened with like the Titanic.
Mm,
If the body opening up for the water to get in, and once the water gets in, so if you find yourself in an environment, so best bet is to have an environment that's in line with your direction. An
yeah,
environment can be as small as your personal space, how you have set up your room, your office. Imagine how we're having this call now, and somebody's constantly beating the drum where you are in the
yeah,
room. The
yeah.
environment can affect the quality of work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
It can also affect the quality of life that you live.
You're right.
So if you then expand that, get out of the office, it's the whole house. How it's set up is the whole postcode, and then you get the whole country, the whole continent. Now,
Mm,
you cannot always be in control, but if it comes down to the environment, if you can make the environment to be in line with your goals and your dreams, it would be
mm,
easier. Life is easier when the environment is aligned.
yeah,
But if you must be where you are and you know the environment is the problem, you then need to work very hard on your internal environment.
yeah.
And as long as that is sane and that is guided and that is, you know, using all of the recommendation from your coach,
Mm,
your therapist, if you're going through therapy, and using all of this knowledge that we're sharing, as long as the internal is fine, the external can be, you know, cannot have all of its power on you.
mm-hmm.
The environment I notice is very, very, because sometimes
Yeah,
even the trauma is planted by the environment. The
yeah,
things we hear that our senses pick up, the
mm,
examples, you know, the
yeah,
examples that we see. I remember back in the days, the richest person in the area was a man with a house that had a upstairs.
mm,
That's the environment telling you what you must become. You
yeah,
know, and they had a gen. If you notice, back in the days where people had this gen that uses diesel and it makes a lot of black films. It's like an
yeah,
industrial generator, but they have it
mm-hmm.
at home, and
Yeah.
somehow it's a status symbol, and they were the only ones who had it. So when
Or
there
they,
was no
or they had
electricity,
a satellite dish back
or
then.
they had a satellite dish, this is the environment giving you a template. And so when you are
Yeah.
now at a certain stage and you look around, you don't have the satellite dish, you don't have
Mm,
the generator, you have not built a house, not to talk of a house with the upstairs. This is
mm.
the environment holding you, to some standards that may not even be for you.
Conditions of work.
Yeah, conditions of worth. So you
Mm,
want to do an evaluation. I think in doing an evaluation of self, an evaluation of the environment is just as important, because there could be something there, to show us where you've been, where you are,
mm,
what you need to do
mm,
next.
Yeah.
Um, I had a story which is interesting um, about an aunt. Okay, an aunt, very motivated. The aunt has just come out of a coaching session. All right, he has
Mm.
all of the ingredients. The aunt goes to the gym. And the goal of the aunt is to go up north. So this is an ant, and you know how hardworking ant can be,
Mm.
working very hard, marching north, marching. Nothing is going to stop the ant. Nothing. He has the right motivation, the right course of action. The problem is the ant is standing on the back of an elephant, going.
Mm.
The elephant is going south. Think about that. So this motivated, hardworking ant is marching up north. It's on the back of an elephant that is marching south. So no
Mm.
matter how north the ant goes, it would be at best at the northernmost part of the elephant south.
Yeah, yeah. That is
How
interesting.
environment, yeah, the
Mm.
environment can actually take you to places you don't want to be, and it's not about you now. So the ant's best strategy is to jump out, get out
Mm.
of the back of the ant, and get on the free land where your north will truly be north. Your trip to the north will truly take you north.
That's
But
very powerful, Emdee. Very
yeah,
powerful.
yeah. So as long as you're standing on this back of this huge elephant, because an ant does not even recognize that, I'm on the trunk now or I'm at the back of the elephant.
Mm.
So thank you for breaking that down
Mm.
and telling us what to do. I like the idea of tuning into your biggest gift and owning that. So let's come back to people pleasing because you mentioned that a little bit. Uh,
Mm.
is one of the signs of poor self confidence? Is there a way we can get out of it if we find ourselves people pleasing a lot?
A lot. I like the sound of a lot because I think a level of people pleasing is a sign of empathy.
Hmm.
Yeah, a good level of it is a sign of empathy. Where does
Or you call it diplomacy?
diplomacy? Yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah, like that. A sign of diplomacy, a sign of empathy. So where does people pleasing start? So like the word infers, it means that you want to maybe earn the favor of the other person, or you want to avoid conflict, or you and avoiding conflict can be good, just that not at your own detriment.
Hmm.
It's about understanding why are you people pleasing? What's the reason behind people pleasing? Is it a continuous habit around some people, or is that how you're being with everybody? If you grew up in an African home, you would most likely have a level of people pleasing in your body, except you're a very tough child yourself.
Yeah.
Because your parents want to do things certain way, or maybe your family values. These are the way you do things, but this is not the way that you want to do your own thing. You have a right to your own personal aspirations as well, personal things that you want to do, because you should have a mind of your own. However, like I said, people pleasing comes from it stems from different things. But the one that is really commonplace is the people pleasing that comes from some of the emotions that we navigate as a child. As a child, some of the emotions that we navigated is, you know, it's an environment of you not having your own opinion, of you not having a say of your own, of wanting to please a person of authority in your life, whether your teacher, your pastor, your clerics, your parents, the elder ones as well. I grew up in a family home, in a family house, I like to say. In my parents' house, but we had a lot of family members around who are all older than me. And respect was a thing. You must say, but that me, mommy, sister me, like you must use all those regards. Those words that helps you regard them as the older person because respect was always
Yep.
very important in the Yoruba home. So
Tell me about it.
yeah, so that was what I understood. And it just didn't make me feel free around anyone who reminds me of people of authority. I had to also
Hmm.
challenge that in a therapy session, in a therapy room. Otherwise, I find it very difficult to mingle or connect or relate with people who are my age group. But I
Mm.
had to break that in therapy as well to look at where it came from. And it was traced back to how I was raised in terms of the background that I had, the environment, the people who constituted that environment, and how they reacted to children. Like the saying that children are not meant to be seen or heard or something. Is it children are meant to be seen but not heard? Yeah, that was the popular saying then. So that would kill your opinion to thrive, to think you also have an opinion and all that. So you would do things just to please the environment, please the people, and you're losing your own truest self in doing that. So people pleasing is are we looking at how to navigate in that? Because that's really what it is. Like I said, a level of it can be good. It just might
Yeah.
make you have, yeah, if you do it to a level, it just might make you have a good relationship with people, but not at your own detriment.
Yeah.
Not at your
So it's,
detriment.
exactly,
Yeah,
it's about striking that balance to say
yeah,
at what point does it cross being empathetic? At what
yeah,
point you have left the zone of diplomacy? You are
yeah,
now what they will call a doormat.
yeah,
Everybody just marches on you because
yeah.
they can
No,
get
that's what we
away.
don't want. No,
Exactly. So how do we
that's
get
where
if
you
somebody's already
have
there
boundaries.
where yeah, where there are, yeah, boundaries. So maybe you take us into that direction. Is setting boundaries part of that process of
Definitely.
taking back control? If you have been a people pleaser, and maybe
Mhm.
a lot of people have been there,
Yeah,
many of us will have stories. I have stories,
definitely.
of being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Um, and life has changed so much since I realized that.
Mm,
That of course, everybody will say this about themselves, but I am a people first person. I want the best for people every time.
mm,
And when you then add pleasing on top of that, it's doing
mm.
too much. So it's
Yeah,
like being a good person, but having to prove that you're a good person, you
yeah.
know?
There's no need to
So
prove a
tell us,
point. Yeah.
yeah, so tell us how a people pleaser, of course, now at this point they already know because you've given us some of the symptoms. How can they get out of that predicament? Because it can really be a problem for them
Yeah,
particularly.
yeah, I agree. People pleasing can be a problem. You're not living truly. You're living for people. That's not
Mm,
great. That's tiring. That is tiring. Like always
yep.
wanting to fit in into the environment, into people's perspective. No, you're entitled to your own frame of reference. You're entitled to see things the way that works well for you. So far, you're not infringing on rights of others. What to do? First of all, like you mentioned it, to recognize where it's happening. Oh, this is me people pleasing. Notice it when it's happening. By the time you put it on your awareness, notice it when it's happening. What can I do about it? It's always a good question to navigate it. And how we navigate people pleasing is much so to, like we said, set boundaries. Know when it's no longer for your own benefit. It's now you rescuing others at your detriment. No, don't be a rescuer. Play the fair game, the balanced game. It must it must be good to you and good for others as well. I would say that's where to strike the boundaries. I mean, when we have life examples of, you know, for instance, we've heard stories of a child going into school or taking up a course and just doing that course because they just wanted to please their parents. They come out, dump the
Mm,
certificate in the hands of their parents. They look back, cursing their parents that they made them wasted some of the years of their life. In fact, because of that simple act, they had, cultivated the wrong friendship. They couldn't give their best attention while learning because it wasn't really their intention anyway. So for that reason, it didn't make them be their best self around that period of their life, and that has taken a lot of people into addiction, hunger, a lot of regret in the way some people live. It can be just said in this room at this moment as just a simple sentence, but if you look at the impact on the world of an individual and how they then begin to live with that trauma, it can be really big and impactful. So it's
mm,
about identifying it and speaking up for yourself. If you still have an authoritative parent, it's about learning. In fact, that can be another topic. How do we
Yeah.
navigate this people pleasing? If someone hearing us now is under a parenting that is harsh and doesn't give them a say to their own lives, how do they
Mm,
navigate it? Really tough because
yeah.
I mean, in homes like that, especially back home in Nigeria, where there are no proper regulations for things like that can look into or stepping into those areas for you. You just have to fit in and keep adhering, or what's the word now? Just keep persevering for how long when there could be a way out is really, I mean, it is really, I don't like that situation. So how do we navigate people pleasing? Will be about setting boundaries. It can be hard, but I promise you, you can do it gradually, and gradually you get better at it.
Mm,
And for me, when I went on the journey of personal development, I started structuring my time, started structuring my goals. I started having goals. If you don't have goals yourself that you're trying to meet, it's easier for you to please anyone because they'll just tell you try this, try that. And you don't want to offend anyone anyway, so you're just listening to them. But it's about
mm,
also having a definition and structure for your own life, what you want, why you want it, how you will get it done. Having all of those
mm,
things in place can even help people to it is sending a message to
mm,
people as well to know how to talk to you and what to do with you and how to relate with you. It's sending a message,
mm,
honestly. So I think another thing we should look at, which is like a background thing that can help, is you yourself become very structured, become very clear on your journey of life, what you want out of life, and how you're going to
mm,
get that done, and be disciplined around it. People can feel your discipline, they can feel it, and they would respect you for that. I'll tell you
mm,
a very simple example. Before anything, my children, I want to provide for them, do this for them, do that for them. It got to a point where I started also working on my internal self that, what, the things that I didn't have as a child doesn't mean they
mm.
have to have it if they don't need it.
Yep, exactly.
So it was a case of also thinking, this is me trying to please these children, not because they really need it.
Yep.
So when I became structured myself, I started knowing the right things and I started taking the right action. So if you think you're going through people pleasing as well, and I invite you to also look inward and see where there might need to be restructuring in the way that you're being. So because you send the message to how you want people to treat you. There's a message being sent out there. But like I said, the only difficult time is when you are under obligations like parenting. In a way, the parents who are making you, forcing you to fit into their own perspective, they don't even know what is right. The intention is good for them. The intention is so that you can turn out well for them. That is their intention. Rather, they do not know that there are other healthier ways of helping that child. So parents as well, they need this personal development. And this is a big deal. It pains me a lot that a lot of us goes into marriage and parenting without any knowledge whatsoever. Trial and error to live with our
Tell me.
partner. Trial and
Tell me
error
about.
to raise a life, to raise
Yes.
a child, a life.
Mm,
So like I said, I don't listen to this a lot, but my husband was sharing a story with me very recently that there was a child in America, lives in America, and the parents worked his papers. They migrated from the UK to America. They worked the papers and the kind of papers they worked and all that boomeranged in the adulthood of the child, and the child had to be deported back into the UK, and he's finding life here really tough right now, and he keeps sending curses back to his parents.
mm,
It's a case of also giving a child tribal marks as a child. They grow up, they don't like it. They do have a choice to they didn't have a choice as a child, but as an adult, they might not like these things.
yep.
So people pleasing, I think it's a very
It's a
vast.
topic. We possibly can come back to it.
Yeah,
Difficult because, like you said, it can eat into everything: your relationships, your business, your decision making. It's everything.
I agree.
It's you living life at your own expense
I
while
agree.
living you
Mm,
leaving the better options for somebody else.
yeah,
And that could be your partner, your children, your
yeah,
boss, whoever. what I hear from you now, and I'm going to take this away, and I want anybody listening to also write it down. It's not good enough if it is only good for them. Whatever the decision is, I'll repeat that.
Mm.
Um, it is not good enough if it is only good for them.
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes when we're trying to make a decision, the decision is good for side A but not B.
Yeah.
It's one-sided. So you want to make sure most of the things you say yes to are win-win.
Yeah.
It's not about making it about yourself, but you cannot
Mm.
be in win lose
Yeah.
all through life and
That's
think that's
unfair.
okay. It's
Mm.
unfair to you, right?
Mm.
And there's a key word, if you permit me to add, there's a key word that can help here is no.
Mm.
No. Learning to say no, boy,
Mm.
girl, young, old. Learning to say no. You would think it's straightforward, but it's not.
Yeah, it's
If you are
not.
deep
Mm.
into this, it would be like a life change. Just learning to say no. In Yoruba, rara,
Mm.
like learning to say rara, say, we're not having this,
Mm.
and standing on principle, like you said, clearing your own personal log. It's very, very important. Um, it's as simple as a call coming in, and I've had a lot of these episodes in my own personal life, where there are certain people who call me and I start to shiver.
Mm. Mm.
Back in the days, I start to shiver. The call is there, and I also tell myself, my old self, that I must speak.
Mm.
There are calls that you must speak, but you are not comfortable picking. Not
Mm.
because you have done anything wrong. It's just because this person has possibly bullied you too much. You don't
Mm.
even know. You can't even predict how simple conversations will go. And then I met somebody at a conference, an unrelated conference, and the person was just sharing life.
Mm.
An author as well, popular person, but I'm not going to mention their name. And they said something that was not even for me, but it
Mm.
was for me. I was there. When you're in a conference, you are there for that particular thing.
Mm.
And they said, I don't have to pick all of my calls. I was like, oh, really? Somebody asked them why they have not been available, and they said they don't have to pick all of their calls. It was the first time I was considering that, oh, truly, the fact that your phone is ringing doesn't mean you must pick it.
Mhm.
Like I have
Mm.
thought before that, and this is many, many years ago. It's over a decade and a half when I encountered this. Up until that time, this technology was new to us.
Mm.
Came around, I mean, to us who have come from like Nigeria, I think 2000, 2001 is when we got introduced to this. And
Mm.
for some of us, we were much more older because the parents wanted us to have some maturity before
Yeah.
we could be allowed. So having used the telephone, my experience using it is if somebody is calling me, I must speak, right?
Mm.
There's a speaker at the conference, which is why conferences are also very good. There's a speaker at the
Definitely.
conference who said, random fact, that he doesn't have to pick all of his calls. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that.
That's
When
fine.
somebody-
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. If somebody's calling me and I actually don't feel comfortable speaking, I don't have to pick. Up until
Mm.
that day, I thought I must pick. And these are the simple decisions. Somebody wants to have a meeting and you're not comfortable with the meeting, but you cannot turn them down. Because you have not. So saying no can be complex. It can be layered, right? So
Let
it's
me
part of
let
how
me
you.
share let me share one of my own people pleasing in the past.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
people ask me for money, I will go and look for a way to get it for them, even when I didn't have.
Hmm.
So as I was also becoming more organized with my life, and you said it, the word no. Say it honestly, openly, and politely. I've exhausted my giving budget for the month. I'm not able to come through maybe another time. And the response I then hear, because me, I'm feeling empathy for them. Like, oh my God, what
Yeah.
would they do now? How would they? The response many times that I would now hear would then even be very comforting for me. Like I would hear people say, "Oh, you always come through. I understand. You always come through. I understand. I'm like, oh, really? It was that simple. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
no can just honestly, openly. politely.
Yep,
It can
yep.
help a lot. Yeah.
Learning to say no is it's a session and a course on its own because there are many ways to say it. There are different ways to say it, but I think that's part of the is part of the fix. Realizing that you have crossed the boundaries of empathy. This is no longer diplomacy. This is you, you know, making yourself a doormat. And here's the problem with people pleasing. It doesn't earn you any respect. It doesn't even earn you love.
Definitely.
They're not going to love you more. In fact, they will
Definitely.
love you more when you have boundaries. It's insane how it works. It's
Ah,
insane.
yeah.
The and you're not being rude at the same time. So this is the confidence that you need. Say trying a different pathway of saying no to this person who you have always said yes to, you've always
Mhm.
let them have their way, is not you being rude. Because that's how it's wired in the brain to say, I don't want to be rude, I don't want them to be angry. They will necessarily not be angry if you do the no, right.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that we have actually touched on this topic.
Yeah. I agree.
Of people pleasing. And I think that one of the other things I recommend because I did this with me. One of my first break into living life because I still think that I used to exist up until a certain point. The minute where I started to live was facing some of my biggest bullies of life, and it's by doing a simple experiment of a worst case scenario. Do you understand? The
Yeah.
worst case scenario is what if I don't respond? What
Hmm.
if will they die? No, I noticed they didn't. You know, would I be hot? I noticed I wasn't hot. So all of the things keeping me in that cage, in that pleasing cage, didn't exist.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
I noticed after like a week, you know, um, they found a better way. They moved on. I'm like, okay, fine. you know so it's you doing that worst case scenario experiment
Yeah.
once you break it, it then changes your perspective. Like you said,
Hmm.
you're
Exactly.
comfortable with this person consistently. When you're about to say no, there's still something telling you, find the money now, borrow money and
Hmm.
borrow them, borrow
Hmm.
money and give them. But you did that
Hmm.
experiment, let's even see what will happen. And just no
Yeah. Yeah.
apologies, this is the real thing. I'm also not as afloat as I used to be. I would love to do it, but unfortunately I can't help you at this time. Maybe
Yeah.
another time. So
Yeah.
they may say, worst case scenario, they'll say you're a bad person now. Maybe you got the compliment, because they were understanding. Worst case scenario, they'll
Hmm.
say that the worst person in this world, which fact would prove them wrong because you have always done for them.
I
So at the end
like
of the day,
that. I like that. I think that brings me back to one of the reasons people please, because you don't want to ruffle feathers. You don't want issues. You just want everything soft. I think it's also about knowing that things can always be soft too. Yeah,
yeah.
ruffle the feather, fight the fight, be polite about it, stand your ground. I learned to have hard communications and to stand for myself politely. Oh, before
Mm,
when I'm in the middle of a conflict, I would be fidgeting, I would be screaming, I wouldn't know how to pass my information across, I would be angry. Boy, it's
mm,
about practice. It's about
mm.
knowing that you can share your opinion, you can hear your opinion, whether it's a contrary opinion, honestly, openly, and politely. That has been my watchword. Honestly, openly, and politely.
Honestly,
Disagreeing politely
openly, and politely.
and
I'm
politely.
honest. You are open like nothing to hide.
Yeah,
Polite, which means
politely.
add a bit of nice words here and there.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I couldn't pick your call 2 days ago. I've been in the middle of a course. It's taking me some time. I'll reply when I can. Honestly,
Hmm.
openly, or it could be I've been
Politely.
dealing with overwhelm. For one of the things that there's a word called drought that I formed, and I tell my clients that you know what, if I'm messaging you and it's a point where you can't reply, just reply the word drought back to me, and I understand that you're dealing with overwhelm at the moment. That is what it means, dealing with
Hmm.
overwhelm at the moment. So it's about you just saying growth. Just saying the word growth to me. I know that you're dealing with overwhelm at the moment. So it's about just telling that person, oh, I've not been responsive to you for a month now. I have been dealing with overwhelm. Can
Hmm.
I know? Can I know what I want? What you want from me? Or if you want to take the conversation further, or if you just want to end it at that, I have been dealing with overwhelm at the moment. It can
Wow,
be
that's
that simple.
yeah.
It
This
can be
is
that
this is.
simple.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up. We've got less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, we've got less than 10 minutes to be here. I know that my subscribers and this community would not like it enough if we don't touch on rejection. So we're going to take two things together:
Okay.
rejection as a topic, because this is what we face every day. For you to get a successful fellowship grant, a successful scholarship, you need to apply to more than one. And very
Mhm.
few people get yeses from everywhere. Most of
Mm.
us, from personal experience and from experience of my mentees across the world, you get a lot of no's, a lot of sorry. We've managed to rephrase them as love letters. So when I meet with my mentees who are currently battling rejection, I'm like, you've received a love letter. Let's look at what they are saying. So how can somebody undo rejection in the context of um, people trying to better their lives? Is it something they should look forward to? What are your suggestions? And then we can look at how can people jump on some of your courses.
Yeah, I like the sound of, love letter. It's already a solution on its own because the way the mind processes things can just helps you flatten out all the problem and you just feel easy and nice with it because you already said it. It's a love letter. So, and I think the case of, I like this sentence as well. My partner always say, hope for the best and expect the worst. Is the
Mm,
way that is one of the things that I've cultivated in life. That everything that happens, number one, is happening for a reason.
mm,
Number two, we can interpret it to say that everything that is happening is just not happening to us, it's happening for us. Life is
mm,
mindset. Even in the books of life, in the Quran, in the Bible, it said that it's mindset. That your mentality, the state of your mind, will affect how successful you can live in life.
mm.
So it's about reframing it. And honestly, that simple thing that you say you do, calling it love letter, reframing is one big way of is one big strategy that we use in therapy as well. In counseling, reframing, it makes it just easier. Now another thing is knowing when to pause. Oh. It's always good to know when to pause, when to not keep trying, when to slow down, when to pause. It's always good. How can we know when to pause? How can we know when to stop? How can we know when to soak it all in and try much later? It's not until we get to a burnout stage that we will slow down. We should naturally
Yeah.
also give ourselves some boundaries. Where is my threshold? If I have sent 10, how am I feeling about it? If I'm getting
Mm,
a no from 10, how am I feeling? When will I
mm,
ever get a yes?
mm,
Whatever we're doing as well, one thing I've noticed is when you do things with the right people, or when you do things with professional, say for instance, you're trying to build something, you build it with people who have built. There are lessons that you will learn from there.
mm,
Or you're trying to learn about something, you learn it from somebody who already knows or who have already done. You're learning from that area as well. Whether what you will learn is that this is not the path to take, or whether what you will learn is that you can't do it all by yourself, you need more support. Or whether what you will
mm,
learn is that you need more information, you need more developing. So
mm.
there is always something to learn, but it's the state of mind, the acceptability to know that, oh, there's something to learn here. Actually, should I try with someone next time? Should
Yep.
I rewrite it? Do I need more knowledge? Do I need more information? There is always a lesson
Mm,
in every situation. And so
yeah.
don't reject yourself. Even when life rejects you, even when people reject you, even when you face rejection from anywhere, don't reject yourself. This is very peculiar to a neurodiverse mind. We talk about rejection sensitivity dysphoria as a condition in a certain kind of people. That everything feels like rejection to you. You can't even
Mm,
interpret that this thing is a redirection, not a rejection.
mm,
So for us to be that, you see, when you read that book, A New Heart by Eckhart Tolle, it will really help
yep.
you take life seriously. But there are many ways to where you're going. But if you
Yep.
think it's one way, it's one way, it's one way, it's one way, too many headache, too many pressure, you might not even
Yeah.
arrive where you're going because
Mm.
you just only know one way, whereas there are always ways. I mean, I always tell myself there are always ways to figure things out. There are many ways, there are many answers. It's not like I don't feel frustration as well, but it's that when I feel those frustrations, I remember all the coping mechanism and it just makes it easier for me to navigate. That is just what
Yep.
it means. So
Mm.
rejection will come. Let's
Yep.
know that rejection will come. The acceptance
Yep.
alone is healing. Is acceptance. The acceptance is a very positive energy, positive emotion. Well, if it
Yep.
works out, fine. If it doesn't work, fine. I love that thing for my husband. I love that for him as well. He has
Mm.
that thing, and I just really admire that so much.
Mm.
When me, I'm still overthinking, and I'm still like, oh, why is this happening? It's just, please give me food. It's okay. So, so yeah, rejection will happen, but don't reject yourself. I promise you, if you don't reject yourself, people forget quickly. Whatever it is, or wherever it is you think you've experienced rejection. As entrepreneurs, we face rejections a lot. We get a
Yeah.
no, we get, but we can also get many yeses. So focus on the yeses that you have, much more than
Yeah.
the no's, and that can make you attract more yeses. If I do have a context, is it context now? Like if I do have a proper example, maybe I would have, broken that down. But one of the rejections that I can use as an example that I have also gone through is many times you send messages to people you want to sell, they do not respond. They sometimes I say, oh, are they looking down on me? Hang on a minute. Did I not word my proposal well? What can I do
Yep.
better? Well, I'm a very curious person, so I always think about what could have gone wrong ideally. What can I do better?
Yep.
The rejection would always happen, but most of all, please don't reject yourself.
Great. So I want to make the best use of the last 3 minutes. So to add a few things to what you have said about rejection is, I think it sinks us in when we don't look forward to it. So it's better to manage if you know it's part of the game. In fact, one of the things I tell my mentees is the name of the game is rejection. You are
Hmm.
looking forward to one yes, and that's it. All right, you're looking forward to one
Hmm.
yes. So whether you're looking for a job, you don't do 10 and go home, right? One of my mentors in the corporate world, when I was trying to get into British corporate Britain, it was like, don't be doing 10 application per day. You do 25 per day. You do 30 per. I'm like, is it that bad? It was like, that's the spirit. And you expect no from
You see?
all. So
Hmm.
because it set me up properly, I didn't feel bad. So
Hmm.
when I was on 150 something application, I didn't think I was at the end of the road. I kept going, right? I
Yes, you
remember one
can.
of my first jobs. Yeah, one of my first big jobs.
Yeah.
I had to apply to 156 openings.
Wow.
156. I think I did a video about it many many years ago.
Hmm.
Um, if it's still up. And then when I was moving to another role, I thought, oh, with all of my experience, I mean, with all of the things I've done with evidence, I thought it would have been easier. But no, I had to do twice as much of the
Hmm.
applications that I did,
You
when I
see,
had less
you see where
experience.
resilience comes in. Some people will pause; they can't go for that. But you kept because you were prepared. First of all, then you also had it. You had it. That's why you kept
Yeah.
going. Not really. Yeah, you had it. That's why you kept going as well.
Where can we find you? We have 40 seconds left.
Oh, to find me, send me an email. connect@abettermecoaching.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Shakirat Okewole. I think the link will be put across board. And if you want to work with us, the best program that can help you support your journey is our fully unveiled 3-day exclusive program to rewire yourself and start growing sustainable success. And that maybe the link would also be put in the chat box and we'd love to support your journey. But thank you. I've enjoyed myself so much and I'm looking forward to supporting your journey of sustainable growth.
Yes. So thank you very much, Shakirat. We're going to put links to the coaching session and all of the opportunities you have for goal getters to connect with you. The email has been mentioned, so that is one of the ways you can at least reach out. Do you have a website? Is it you've got a website, don't you?
bettermecoaching.com. A
Yeah, a
bettermecoaching.com.
bettermecoaching.com. So we're going to put that as well in the description, and also the link to actually jump on the coaching sessions and services. It's been a very good pleasure having you today, Shakira. Thank you very much for spending time with us. And hopefully when we invite you again, you'd be able to join us for another session.
Thank you so much for having me and have a wonderful time. Cheers.